Fix myself up. Can't thank you, Dubs. Oh man. What they mad about what's going on in the world, man, today? I know I shouldn't really, I'm not really, it ain't nothing to do with happiness, but I'm just smiling because it's like, God dang, it's crazy. Right? It's not crazy, a lot of things. I'm trying to be careful because y'all know already we're gonna attract people. I'm trying to keep it cool, calm, and collected before I hook everybody up, right? But now I gotta hide it because y'all done already put a hole in the back. Something else I need to be talking to animals and shit, you know what I'm saying? And they understand too, man. You got animals in your totem pole, man. Some spiritual stuff. Yeah. All right. Say hey, Roughneck. Hey. Say hey, Roughneck. That's Roughneck, y'all. Roughneck, do you see yourself? That says Blue Black right there. Say Blue Black, what's happening? What you been getting yourself into, man? We're just giving the introduction to everybody real quick, fast. We just got to be doing our little post. This is our post. Our post-Sabbath. I mean, our pre-Sabbath workout, you know. I watch my back, mother. You know, sneak up on you. They sneak up on you too, man. They creep. Before you go to mug, be standing right up over you and shit, man. Like, what the hell is this? You don't notice you ain't supposed to be standing over me. You can go sit down somewhere else. Let me get my loins and everything together, y'all, before I get the building and shit. Because this is this Minneapolis situation that your life family's connected, you know, been building about recently. Yeah. Remember that, man. Remember we was on it, man. We was building about this stuff. Remember all this, man? Remember we was talking about the situations? And I don't want to get too extra with it, but you know, you gotta be really careful for what's going on. I don't want to reveal too much, but I can definitely reveal enough about what's going on in the app. You know, I done seen everybody over there, you know, was dealing with the Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, you know, Native Americans over there in Minnesota. And I built how we went to school together and everything, and how they was pretty cool. But then, you know, there's certain informants and things of that nature that was involved in, you know, gang activity a long time ago when Muzz was trying to unite. But as far as us having a community, we still was cool. But if you have to look at the situation of those neighborhoods over there in Minneapolis, man, it was all a lot of black neighborhoods. A lot of black businesses was over in those neighborhoods. For people who don't know what's going on, in, you know, the immigrant situation in Minneapolis, man, it's a lot of immigrants. And like I said, black folks used to be really deep in Minnesota. You know, it was nothing but blacks and whites, and you know, they pretty much kind of, you know, did their thing together. A place where Minnesota, it was, you know, considered where it was like, you know, that's what it was, you know what I'm saying? But as time went on, Minnesota became really, you know, diverse. Kind of like a little, we call it a mini Apple, you know what I'm saying? Mini Apple, like a mini New York. That's how Minneapolis was. But to look at the native situation up there, you have to understand, a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of so-called natives that just walking around in Minnesota like it's like how Mexicans are in Texas, you know? So a lot of black folks in the South wasn't really exposed, you know, or even in the East Coast or West Coast, exposed to the natives up there, you know what I mean? So, but those neighborhoods that a lot of the natives are in, I'm gonna look at my back, check my back, whatever. Those natives and Somalians, you know what I'm saying? These are very close neighborhoods, but these neighborhoods they were all black owned neighborhood, basically black, you know, situated neighborhoods, had businesses and all these things in those neighborhoods. But when gentrification came, a lot of that shit got pushed out. A lot of black businesses was out. Only like one business that really survived in South Minneapolis, and that's on Lake Street. It's a clothing store called Mr. Hip Hop Shop. And I used to buy my clothes because he was black owned, you know what I'm saying? Come to Minnesota, it's like, yo, that's what it was. But there was more businesses on there, on Lake Street and in these spaces that are now owned by like the Somalians and the Arabs, and you know, not the natives. Natives got some stores too, but you know, they was actually benefiting off of, you know, the land and also, you know, the casinos and shit too. But you know, even on the surface they was looking out for us, but a lot of things was going on underneath that we ain't know nothing about. And a lot of brothers was pushed out of jobs up there, when they were running the temp services, you know, we was able to get jobs quick, go to and learn things at jobs. I was able to get a job quick up there, you know, with good temp services. But then when the Mexicans and the Somalians came in, they were bringing their own people in, you know, and then, you know, brothers weren't getting jobs. And then we had to get piss tests and all that good stuff. I'm sitting out here in the sun, sunbathing. So, you know, we had to get piss tests a lot because we smoked herb, you know, or we really didn't have to smoke herb like that. You know, we was really hard workers, but we were getting, you know, pushed out of positions. Mugs was learning, you know, skills and shit, plumbing skills. It was bros like that automotive skills was off the chain, man. You'd be like, you have to go to somebody in the hood because of this dude automotive skill was off the chain. But those were the hoods, you know, that we were in, where the Somalians were at, and the Mexicans are at, and the Indians are at. Hey now. And so with a lot of those things going on, you don't see a lot of black folks over there because they got pushed out of those neighborhoods, like pushed all the way out into the suburbs and Brooklyn parks, and, you know, these are suburbs, Brooklyn centers and shit like that, where things go down, but it's not too much things popping off. You know, it's just, you know, Minnesota know how black people are. It's been black and white in Minnesota, like, you know, since the beginning, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Minnesota Twins was black and white. Kalani. Minnesota Twins was black and white, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it wasn't too much racism in Minnesota. You pretty much had a good opportunity as a black person or a so-called FBA in Minnesota at those times. But when, you know, the dopes and stuff start coming in, and, you know, and a lot of, you know, that comes from, you know, certain countries and shit. Niggas didn't come up with that, you know, but we learned how to deal with it and cope with it. And that was detrimental to our communities and shit. So that got our community to get ran down. Those communities that you see with the Somalians that we're in now, you know, and the Mexicans that are in now that re-gentrified it, there's some type of thing that went down. We have to really use our real lives if you really want to figure this shit out, because it's not really about figuring it out if you just want to, you know, figure shit out, but it's just like, it's a civil war going on. It's a war going on right behind closed doors, and, you know, Most High used the enemy of your ass, you know, when I say you know, I'm talking about the brothers and stuff, as a footstool to get things done, you know, whether it's masked or not. You know, a lot of things went into those neighborhoods where a lot of black brothers were murdered, man, by law enforcement agencies. A lot of children, kids, 13, 14, 15 years old. And they weren't just black on black crimes, man. These were, you know, police crimes and shit. And people came out, but not too much. We were kind of distraught on those situations where there was no justice pretty much served in that type of, in those same neighborhoods that things is popping off right now. You know, and so it's not like, you know, we don't want nothing bad to happen. We don't want to, you know, we know how things are set up and people know what's going on with the whole little conspiracy thing, but just to give you an insight of what's happening in those neighborhoods, those are once predominantly black neighborhoods. And since, for the last, you know, 20, 30 years or so, they changed up. And, you know, the natives have always kind of been there. They had a little project or whatever, but, you know, but that area still was like predominantly black. It wasn't murders like that. It was just, you know, people living their life. Our civilization is, you got the good, the bad, and the ugly involved, you know? And so when they're talking about natives living off the land, you got to understand, they're now proving that black folks, or so-called, we say FBAs, but the foundational Americans, which is black people, they call us. We classify so many times, and say, you know, they're mad that we're not getting in, you know, the problems that's going on. It's like shit happens too. A lot of things happen. The motherfuckers are still getting killed and shit, man. You know, by law enforcement. So it's an inside thing going on still, you know, and we're still trying to handle this stuff. People dealing with man, it's all kind of things still going on. They're just, you know, getting you, seeing what the trauma is in our world and shit. You know what I mean? It's almost desensitizing when you're dealing with the cluster B personality disorder, you know. But now that we're seeing that these are, even if it's active script or whatever, you know what I mean, to get mugs riled up to scare them away to get out of Minnesota first, you know what I'm saying, by just acting the scene out for a mug. You know, Oscars is real, theater is real. So even if they gotta act the mug and be like, yo man, y'all gotta move, or somebody gotta, do you really want shit like this to happen? You know, because Minnesota wasn't really like that a long time ago. You know, like I say, there was black businesses, black clothing, black tailors, black, all kind of shit, man, and over north too, you know. And so now they got, you know, the Liberians, the Africans that's in Minnesota too, and they're kind of trying to, you know, black people are mixed in with that, but a lot of the police, they know the difference between, and a lot of people up there know the difference between black folks or FBAs and, you know, so-called Africans or Liberians or Nigerians. You can just tell the difference and shit. And we don't really all click, even though we try to go and hang out with them. It's a problem when it comes to us, you know what I mean? So, and like I say, a lot of things that's going on in our world, where they try to talk bad about us not having fathers in the home and shit like that. These were things that were kind of like planned. Like no matter how hard we tried, It was things that they used to entice our lower self. It's a spiritual battle. Probably wouldn't understand it and shit because, you know, our culture was already there. We weren't really brought over as slaves in America, man. We was already using these things. We was already living in a society where civilization was thriving and running. Detroit, Chicago, all that shit was built already by true niggas. Someone who's really lit, you know what I mean? You can't be in your low self and building all these big ass structures like that. You know, as far as like cathedrals and, you know, having superb masonry. If we can do it, and I can do it at my little level, just laying bricks on the ground and putting a little mortar and all that shit in between, just imagine what our ancestors can do. You know what I'm saying? If I can just lay a brick and make it do, you know what I'm saying? This is a part of all of the indigenous cultures, you know, so just imagine the advanced part of it, you know, of how us laying bricks into the ground and, you know, deep for thousands of years, man. So, yeah, it's when so-called Trump, you know, people get mad at him. Shit, we just sitting back like, man, yo, hey, we ain't jumping in and jumping out. We just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Some of us was run off at the mouth at first, but they just had to sit back too, like, oh, wait, this motherfucker's doing some other shit. But just look at it. When he says people didn't look like, you know, they didn't look like Native Americans on those reservations, he was really talking about niggas. Trump is this man is about business, man. It's not about owning somebody. It's like getting someone to work together. If he happens to be the face, happens to be the face. To have good business, we know niggas got to be in position. And that's how everything, we can't just depend on, you know, celebrities and things of that nature because they own celebrities now. You know what I mean? I had to jump into the celebrity situation because Prince was talking about that in Minnesota. Like he was owned by a record label and shit, you know? So anyhow, though, the powers that be and word and all that, you know, they were controlling all of our assets, our money, and taking all kind of, finding ways to capitalize off all our talent that we had, you know? And so we couldn't even build, made us fearful and scared to even build communities and make our communities thrive as such. So we had to, you know, rely on the people, basically. You know, my people in Minnesota laid down the work, man. Sabathani Center, it was all black South Side, man. Now it's all Mexican, and they, you know, they still was getting help by my family, you know, the Walkers. The Walkers is from Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi, you know what I mean? So anyhow, Clarissa Walker, she got a street name right after my state representative, which is Neva Walker. That's my cousin. So you didn't even know, you know, we all, there's a lot of us. You know, I'm a Harris from Mississippi, but it's to let you know that we got into the actual, you know, helping the communities out. And we didn't need a lot of help from motherfuckers and shit. They already seen that we was thriving and shit. People come all the way from over north and shit to come get help from us, you know? We just found a way to get money or to give to the families, you know, that need it. Found a way to get the properties for people to move in for low incomes and shit, you know, for dirt income to move up into Minnesota. So we was actually doing it, but when the powers that seen it, they kind of wanted to counter that with drugs and shit like that to make sure that we didn't thrive in our businesses. We had corner stores and all that shit. Mr. Rubens, these were corner stores, man. Mr. Rubens was black corner store, old dude. Man, the whole St. Paul, man, the whole St. Paul, which is also the same thing as Minneapolis, St. Paul, it's the Twin Cities. Somalis and stuff moving over there too, but St. Paul, all black, man, very black. You know what I'm saying? They built a highway through Old Rondo neighborhood, the blackest city up in Minnesota, man. You would think that St. Paul's all white, and it's not. It's nothing but niggas in that motherfucker, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, real niggas in St. Paul, man. You know, so anyhow, though, but they're getting pushed out too because it was all businesses, all grocery. They had their own grocery stores and everything, thriving. They don't talk about this though, that these neighborhoods were once thriving with black-owned businesses before these motherfuckers came in. We had a grocery store over north, man, called, what was it, Humphrey, black grocery store, man. You don't hear too many motherfuckers having grocery stores. Niggas had that in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Niggas was on it, man. Shoe store, you know, but then you had other nationalities come in. I think it was other, like Jews or something like that, you know. You can't say that name too, but they came in and got a shoe store, and I think it was Robert's shoe store, but, and that lasted for a while, you know what I'm saying? They already was there, but black people were still up there, you know, doing what it do in Minnesota, man. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, but now you see what's going on and shit. You know what I mean? It's a lot of things popping. Mothers get mad at so-called black people, and they're not understanding the situation was going on in Minnesota too. Not having a full sight. Like, yo, man, that was the land spiritually is striving to get put back to you. All that niggas got to do is just refine yourself. The shit is coming back. if you see things like this happening, just stay out the way. That's usually what you got to do. We always try to stay out the way, but trouble find us anyway. You know what I'm saying? You know how that saying is. Man, I'm trying to stay out the way, but trouble still come to me. Like, damn, you know, that happens. You know, but right now it's even more important because, you know, you have time to build your character up, man. And building that character while the Most High handling this business, using the enemy as a footstool to get things done, is the best thing for you to do right now, man. Ain't nothing else to do, Chief. I'm telling you, ain't no way to do it. You let the Africans be online exposing the white folks, and let them be online exposing everybody else, you know what I'm saying? Because they doing their part. Because they don't know what the hell was going on. They don't know shit about civilization. They really, like, not like how we do, you know what I mean? Like there's a couple of brothers I was talking about, what's happening? Audacity, what's happening? It was a bro, and my granddaddy is older than some countries in Africa. You know what I'm saying? My granddaddy. So bro was talking about that on his site, on the FBA site, been about his grandma. And his grandma, 89 is kind of young. My granddaddy was born in 1905. You know what I'm saying? I was right up under him. I got 13 years. Ain't that something? 13 of them, that number. All these numbers coincide, man, with me delivering and talking about these type of situations and how it connects to the top of the Nile of the West, too, to give an insight to the Light family, what's really going on and shit. Because Minnesota's going to be big land. You know what I'm saying? Big land. Minnesota's the land of 10,000 lakes, man. It's a beautiful spot. You get up there, you can have business without nobody tripping on you. You know, because it was a certain sect that was working together, and they was using these others against niggas up there, like jumping niggas. Like, niggas ain't had no help. Nigga, you can't walk down the street. You got the police on your ass. You got motherfuckers selling on you. You can't walk in the store. You just trying to be cool. You know what I mean? And this got to a point where it was like they showed it on TV with the George Floyd, like, look, this nigga just went into the store. But y'all didn't know that's how deep it got in Minnesota. And that shit was right there in the corner where I grew. Right there, where he was, where the cop was looking, he was looking at my spirit when I was a child, where I used to stand right there on that corner. So I knew already. I'm seeing in the spirit, man. I'm not even worried about the flesh. I already, when I seen the video, the joint, at first I didn't even put it together, but when I seen it said Minneapolis, I'm like, it wasn't a surprise. And then I seen what happened afterwards. I'm like, oh shit. Even if it was an act or not, it doesn't matter. The store, that corner right there, I knew judgment was gonna get called on it. You know what I'm saying? The whole state is getting called on, man. The state attacked one of the chosen ones for nothing and shit. And it attacked a lot of the chosen people for nothing. It's a high spiritual place up there. You know what I mean? It was one store they had over there called Jack's something. It was in St. Paul. That store was up so long, it was on the side of the freeway. It was up for, I don't know, 50-some years probably. Brother, black man and shit. Remember he died. I don't know if they died right there, but they left it up as a monument and shit. That's how classic niggas is up there. You can still can go and get, just like how in Mississippi, it was just like Mississippi pretty much, just in the north. That's it. And everybody was still, knew each other, going over to each other's house and getting, yeah. I see you in a little bit.
It's the real deal.
Yeah. So yeah, and so it's the same way, man, as far as like people going to get snacks from each other's houses and stuff like that. I was like that in Minnesota. That's what we experienced. You still could walk down the street, no problem. The only thing you couldn't do, just walk down the street because you get harassed by the police. Were you 6 years old? I told you I was at I was 6 years old, 7 years old, man. I came off of a rooftop and like 8 squad cars surrounded me, and the whole neighborhood came out. Look, what y'all doing? They got the guns out and everything, man. I'm only like 7 or 8 years, not even 8. I wasn't even 8 yet. You know what I mean? I was eating a piece of I was eating a freezy. Man, it was crazy. And all of us played outside in front of the house, in front of the apartments up there was like they was kind of like plush looking and shit. You know what I'm saying? With room 4s and shit. You know what I mean? It's like I say, radiators for heat and shit. You know what I mean? It was a straight Tatari type shit. You know what I mean? Blocked out, everything was on blocks and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some real shit. So niggas was really living. Even if you was poor, you still had a little oomph about you. You know what I mean? Because the neighbor, everything was pretty clean and shit. Even though it was still hooded, that's how Cali was. Cali's like beautiful, but it was still hood and shit. Look at all them beautiful houses, motherfuckers still shooting at your mama's house and shit. Same stuff like that happened. But yeah, you had neighborhoods like that too. But anyhow. But just to give you an insight, we had boxing clubs and everything, man. Everything was black owned in the city for sure, but that changed, that changed. That took a lot of businesses out. We couldn't have business. We couldn't have barbershops no more up there. Candy shops, always, my bro, dad had 2 candy shops over south, one on Lake Street and one on 38th Street. Penny candy, where you just walk in there and get you some 3-cent candy. Kids come in there, get the candy, boom, boom, boom. Even though it was sweet ass candy, but it was just the vibe when you walk in the store. You know what I'm saying? My bro had the best phone services up there. But the store that my man went in, George Floyd went in, that store, the dude who owned those stores, they wanted to take the clientele of the brother. The brother had all of the clientele. He had it sold in a little bitty store right on the side of their store. He was renting it from them. He was renting, because the people who own that store, the Arabs, they bought like 3 or 4 buildings up on that block, like some Monopoly shit. And so bro came in, and he so happened to have them bread from his pops, who was a Hindu, basically, and shit, and gave him some, you know, he was adopted, but he knew how to look out for niggas. But bro was a real nigga though. He was actually a nigga though, but he had adopted pops and shit. Everybody knows. So anyhow though, and he bought the shit up. He had so much business though, with the phones and the beepers and shit. Man, it was like, damn, it was like, how this black man is making all this bread off of this shit. And you know, and he'll let us those shows and everything up in there. And that's my boy to this day, you know what I mean? But so it took all the clientele. He ended up getting a bigger building right down the way that they didn't have nothing to do with. And it's a black church on the corner. My boy's homie is the dad, is the pastor of that whole church. It's a black owned church. Everything, G. I'm just saying. I'm chilling, big dog. I know, I'm just talking about I'm out here relaxing, man, just getting the vibe before, you know, finna sit back and relax for a second, write some stuff, you know, get into writing. But yeah, man, just giving the insight what's going on up there pretty much. And so, you know, when a lot of those cop situations was going on, a lot of police brutality that was happening to a lot of black people, that happen all the time, G. Like, you couldn't even walk down the street. You get more police brutality by get fucked with by the police more than you would the niggas. And then certain niggas were set up to go and attack certain niggas. It was like hits they did to kind of clean the neighborhood out. That's what they did right at the end when they got everybody in there. It was like a gang that came in and they just start try to handle everybody. Moses was getting murked left and right in our neighborhood though. It was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So that was going down, and then next thing you know, all the Mexicans moved in. You know what I'm saying? That happened throughout the whole South Side. Like, it was an extermination. If the cops couldn't get them, it was like a paid hit. Like, they gave these guns to these niggas because it was one way, so they can come right in. They shot at us. Shit. They shot at us. We like, damn, they shot at us because we thought it was one of the homies. They bought one of the homies' old cars. We thinking it's the old homie. Nah. This when I was young, it was turn of the century, right? Turn of the century and shit. Just to get just right before all that money started taking place in Minneapolis. Before all the immigrants really hit. You know, so yeah, man, them mug came back. They was 3 cars deep. They started shooting. Oh shit. You know, we gotta go back now. We gotta go get, you know, it's all kind of shit, man. You know what I'm saying? But we knew they were paid. I put that shit together. I'm like, yeah. They gave y'all niggas the guns. Because in our hood, we had guns too, but they were for the dirt. We had all the guns. Nah. Like, you 13, you can get you a Pearl handle 25, man, for like $30 and shit. Get you a 380 and shit for like $80. You can't pull the trigger too fast, they jam. How you learn all this shit, man, growing up? But now we blessed because most time blessed us, man. I love y'all. I love y'all too, man. What's up, baby? Yeah, so most I wanted me to tell y'all this, man, and tell us this. You know what I mean? What's going on? And yeah, it's judgment being called too, man. Because the state of Minnesota, of course, they burst a lot of niggas, man. Judgment's happening up there. A lot of things happening. That's why most I look at my past videos. It's a culmination up to this point. It's all up to this point. I have to put if I put the line up, you would probably be like, yeah, ain't this? Now you would see what I'm talking about. It's like, but I was in the time frame, and only I kind of knew what was going on and shit, what was about to happen and what was going on. I seen the city burning and shit when that shit happened. When George Floyd, man, the whole city was burning. Even if it was agents in there and shit, the whole city was burning every day. Every day, the police station was burnt up. You know what I'm saying? The other police station was barricaded for a block out. You couldn't even, it was wires upon wires. You couldn't even, you ride on the boat so quiet, man. Everything burnt up, the whole town just burnt, man. Burning building, just everywhere you go, man. It was like hell, man. Shit, riding through that bitch, you can stop and get you a thing of water from somebody got a stand or something, but it's burning building over there, still going down, smoke. The fumes around and shit is fucked up. I knew it was over. I was like, yeah, it's a wrap, because the judgment is coming up here. Too much shit they done been doing. You been hearing about the Greenland? Yeah, we knew they was gonna do. We know what's up with the Greenland stuff. Like we're dealing with a different type of white folks right now. You know what I'm saying? This is a different type of fight. We're not dealing with the Moorish ruled white folks right now, G. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's like the Stargates, you got the Tok'ra, and you got the Gua'ul and shit. Like the Gua'ul is with the motherfucking Moors and shit. The Tok'ras kind of want to help niggas a little bit. They parasites, but they're parasites on a lesser level. They like, nigga, can we use you though? Yeah, they ask you. The Gua'ul, they don't ask you, they just take control of y'all. But you know, so, but yeah, Greenland is like a place of relocation, but people are already there, so they know that. But it's like, you got to be diplomatic with these people, and a lot of fear-based shit's going on, of course. But if they are if that opportunity opens for them to move up there, of course that's like an opening for them. It's like, yo, man, you take your ass up there. Yeah, it's all connected with that. It's all connected with that. You know what I'm saying? And Greenland is a good place. It's like, yo, man, it's a beautiful place. When you all build this up, we right now we ain't gonna be so quick to want to visit you, but because y'all gotta get used to your shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, we want to come and ski. We want to come and see the glaciers and the big ass shit, because that's what you have in your side of the world. That's why, you know, gotta be careful of the Owaspy, man, because Owaspy will tell them like, oh, everybody's gonna be connected, ain't gonna be no central land. Like, no. Everybody gonna still have their little lands and shit. You know, everybody gonna have their lands. We're just gonna be able to visit each other. Like, tell me what you do over there in your shit. Because y'all gotta everybody gotta get their cluster B down pat. We already had ours down pat. And that's what even that so-called white man didn't even know that. But these new ones is a little different. It says their dragons and ancient tech under that ice too. Oh yeah, heck yeah. Oh yeah, Iceland and Greenland, they're supposed to be different names. I think Greenland is supposed to be Iceland, or they say now. But yeah, either way it goes. All that is for the new white folks to be connected to us. They're like, nigga, we gonna guard you. They're like the drooks that they say in the Owaspy too, though. Like the ones that's like willing to guard your ass. They're not like seen as servants, but they want to be like servants to the children of the chosen. You know what I'm saying? They want to be that type of servant, not like in a bad way, like serve me to do. They like look forward to it, and they want to separate those who is against, you know what I'm saying, who's against them being put into the position, like us being put into position and shit. He says, see everybody on there. Yeah, you know. And that's why and then we all enjoy each other. You know, we can all go each other's lane. Like how it's going on right now behind our backs and shit. Cause we get looked at funny when we go to other lands and shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they just black. But like, no, nigga, we are American. You know what I mean? We ain't gotta say, I can say FBA because we know what that is, but we don't say black African. You know, well, we do say, yo, black African, we do say that, but I guess, but really, we're just American and shit, P. And that's what Trump ended up saying and shit. He's like, yo, this is the real American, which is, you know, niggas, man. Who built America? This already taped, but this nigga talking about that shit. And I know they're mad at that shit. It's like, yo, we just like, man, we just tired. It's like breaking up with a narcissistic entity. We just tired. We just gonna sit back, you know, and do what it do. But just to give some insight of what's going on in Minnesota, the top of the Nile of the West, that's you know, Canada wanted to get Minnesota. It's a rich place. Mounds is all through that. I got videos of me on a lot of mounds. Let's take my babies in the mounds when they were little, man. They grown now, but let's take them there to all the mounds. We sit up on the top of the mounds. You can see I think I found a diamond up on one of them. I'm pretty sure I found a diamond a few times, man. But there was a lot of little stones on top of the mounds there. It was some that I discovered. I seen up on myself. I mean, I came up on it so dang on big. His trees was on it, but it was so hard. Then every one of them. I'm sorry. That's when I was really seeing, like, boom, and I was seeing the story. This was all before the Tatar stuff was really famous. I was putting it together with the Phoenician, and I was getting video. This is all my old channels, man. The water towers in Minnesota, and then you see the water tower, the new one. I put it together. Like, I go to the ancient one, I go to the new one, and they go to Step Pyramid. It's a step mound, but it's like a pyramid. And you can't even walk on these type they got up there because it's like they got it guarded with like energy shits, man. Like, you know, it's like one in Mississippi. It's a real big one right on Northside Drive in Mississippi. That's a big ass mound, you know what I'm saying, and the lake on the other side of it. But in Minnesota, it's a lot of them and shit. But it's a whole, you know, a lot of step pyramids that's covered up with grass. You can't go on them. couple of them, I ran on one of them before. It feels so damn like stern and shit, dude. But anyways, there's a lot of mounds up there. There's so many of them up there. You can find them all over the neighborhood. You know, everywhere you go. I start naming them and shit. So every time I go to one, me and my babies will sit on top. And there was a lot of Hindus too. And every time I go to one, man, them Hindus will be sitting outside playing with their kids, running up and down the mounds and shit. Soon we walk up there like us and shit. And me and all kind of black dudes, me and the kids and shit. You know how they leave the playground and you bring your kids and shit. Everybody, my season get the whole playground to themselves and shit. But yeah, so we get up there, we sit up there and we'll hold hands and shit. And I'm building about, you know, the ancientness of the mounds to my children. We'll all be right there. You know, my two biologicals and you know, my spiritual children that was reared with me too. You know, they're grown now too. Also, they're grown now too. They all grown. Shit, they also grown mother down. But this one, it was like, you know, it was like 7, 8 to like 13 or something like that. You know, they all like 30 and shit, 20s and 30s and shit. And so I was looking at something too. You know, they say that another name for our homeland is America, India, yeah, and we're the Americans, yeah, Tamerica or Tameri or the motherland. You know, I just put in the home of the beaver. That's gonna exclude us right there, saying the home of the beaver. I know that seems a little but beaver, you know. And what else? Yeah, Tameria, for sure. India Superior, you know what I mean? India Superior. They got India Minor, India Superior. Basically the land of blackface, the same thing as Ethiopia, but they knew that we was different, so they got to make sure to call us what we were. You know, we're not the Hindustan, which is the name of Hindustan. They just changed it to India really recent. All these names they changed really recent. They thought we was as dumb and shit. They forgot that we got the oldest living people, grandparents on earth and shit. Like, my granny and them old in the motherfucker telling me everything. You got mud deers on every porch in Mississippi when I was little. You can walk up to every porch, hey, my dear. You know, she 100 years old, sitting there on the porch, rocking back and forth, watching all us play, run down the street. You know what I'm saying? And we getting it. She telling us everything. Chewing on whatever, chewing the back, whatever. Hell, got her own brew that they brew on their own. Motherfuckers wouldn't even go into the stove, man. Mothers brewing their own brew. Stuff like that, man. You know, and they remembered a lot of things. My granddaddy made sure he was a conductor. See, that's what a lot of Africans don't even know too. It's like, dude, we knew where we didn't know that we knew this. It's like, damn, how much we know. It's like, damn, even on our little level. Like, my granddaddy was a conductor for, you know, for Amtrak for 30 years and shit. He was born in 1905. He started doing conducting, and he played. You know, he's also his athletic career was with the Memphis Red Sox. He was a pitcher. He nicknamed me. Nicknamed me Cool Papa Bell, you know. So it was like it's all these things and shit. It's like we knew the profession of them. And my granddaddy's mom, and my granddaddy's son, my uncle is a doctor, a medical doctor. All this shit runs into that's why I chose, you know, natural path and shit. My mama is smart. She's a medical coder. That's why I'm like put it all together. Like, man, we get the medical coder, medical biller, bam, like they doing. You charging your insurance man $30 for the towel. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking of saying the meridian, like in the essential part of the earth. That's what we are. That's right. You already know. And you know, La Meridian is right there at Yucatan, right there at Mexico. That's supposed to be the actual medium of the earth. They say basically, but Yucatan temples at. That's why you know they keep us out of Mexico. Like we ain't supposed to go to Mexico and shit. They're like, hold up, nigga, we coming down there too. We just gotta handle our situation. Dude, we got some shit in Mexico. Only we'll know. You know what I'm saying? We was kept out of there, or you know, scared off from even coming to Mexico. But yeah, Meridian, that's a good spot to even damn near to retire at. Shit, they still speak English there too. You know, Meridian, Mexico. I wanted to go there, Tulum, and you know, I ain't worried about anything, but I want to go there too because I know that's our shit too. You know what I'm saying? I know the Mexicans probably like, what do you mean it's our shit? Like, nigga, y'all just a ride, motherfucker. Nigga, all that shit, Guadalupe, Guadalajara, nigga. Whatever, man, all that, nigga. Everything's ours, nigga. It's ours. They just came and got our shit. They attacked us. It was a scheme. It was biblically said what was gonna happen and shit. And this happened on a lot of the worlds. I wasn't trying to get so extra deep with the worlds and shit, but this happened. You know what I mean? And a lot of beings they brought in. And these people, they kind of know that they're doing that, so they're kind of using the agency to do what it's supposed to do in a way. You know what I'm saying? Against them. And it's like, and it's kind of almost working in a way. And that's the nervousness of it. Because we already know any day with us, that can happen with us, you know, with police, everything. It's like any day, and shit's still popping. And it's like, we still got the enemy to deal. We got MUDs, FBI agents that are black getting pulled over by Metro Transits and shit, thinking that they are fucking law, that they know the Black's Law Dictionary from front to back and shit. Like, you can tell this nigga that's the FBI agent that has 2 law degrees, what the fuck he's doing, and he's telling you the truth about everything about a police officer, shit like that. I'm about to do some reaction video, but it's just shit like that. Like, why would people lie like that? Pulling over, you know what I'm saying, district, you know, judges and stuff like that. Black judges, so-called black judges. Why would, you know, why we got to deal with these cluster B personality disordered individuals? That's why it's a full cleansing going on, just on a broad level in the spiritual plane and shit. I could say over the heavens of Minnesota for sure, because they getting judged. They charge the chosen ones. They getting judged. They killed too many innocent children up there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, police shot them children, man. My boy got shot. He's 15 years old. I think the only reason why he survived, we sat there next to him. Other than that, man, that probably would have been gone, man. He said he was still trying to run. That's why, you know, why he was shaking and shit. In his mind, he thought he was running. You know, it's grown-ass men. Grown-ass men, how can they sit with themselves? You know why they can sit with themselves? Because they got cluster B personality, a disorder. Sociopathic, man. That's why they can do it, man. I watch me to see how it is downtown in Minneapolis, man. They get on them Trojans, man, and walk down the street. They try to plant that fear on niggas, man. They get on them Trojans, man. Be like I'll tell you, be about, I don't know, 30 of them muds. That's a lot, man. I'm probably counting that to be big ass horses, man, walking down when the clubs let out and shit, or just down there just to stroll, or down into your neighborhood. One time they marched through the neighborhood, man. I looked out the window. We was over north. That lady I had, man. We looked out the windows on DuPont, Minneapolis and shit. I looked out the window. Man, it had to be about, man, hundreds, more than 100, man. Mothers was marching down the street on our side street from the police department. They all was in their blues, man. And it was sounding like a fucking army walking down the street, G. And they used to they was marching through the nigga neighborhood, dog. Everybody, that neighborhood was quiet as hell, man. I remember that shit. And I'm like, y'all know. Then they'll ride through the neighborhood too with like 20, 30 squad cars going all through this. One time they did that shit through the hood, well, on the south side where all that shit's popping. It was driving all over there, man. And 30 of them, you had to get out the hood, so you got to know your one ways and shit to get to the highway, and then boom, so you can get out. You know what I mean? Them motherfuckers own one, man. They be on one. I'm telling you, this is the facts, bro. So our grandparents and ancestors, were the shit. That's right. They knew and built everything. They knew how to live and how to build an army. But, you know, I got to read out loud this shit. But I would have kept it quiet, but hey, other people can't understand that. That's right, man. And being cool. You know what I mean? We had gardens and shit. Yeah, and I didn't know they knew Minnesota because we was in Mississippi. Damn, I didn't even know nothing about that. You know that? How y'all know about it? They was new Minnesota before my dad and them knew and shit. Because my granddad had been traveling and shit. He knew all about the Milwaukee. So I started the Milwaukee station up there. I started doing Tatari videos and shit like in 2016, 2017. And some of them got erased, but then I got right back into it, man. And I really started hitting all those old buildings, and I was like, oh, look at these Roman Catholic, or these Roman Greco-Roman buildings, man, with these columns. I know these columns got copper wires in them that's basically putting electricity through or whatever. And I'm looking at the antennas, man. I pointed the antennas out and everything. Now you see this shit. They talking about it now, but I'm telling you who was on it. Anyone who know me, who was with me, the wisdom that I had, and shit, I'm trying to scratch my back on this fucking rock. But yeah, any wisdoms that I had, that even the ones I broke up with, that you know I couldn't let them know of what the information that was coming next and shit. Even if I told my main mom, they like, what that got to do with with the earth and shit and all that stuff, talking about the flat earth and well, I said that, so now they're gonna do something. But and also the buildings and stuff like that. But I had a wisdom that met me while I was online, and she got a chance to see. She was from Chicago. I showed her the buildings while we was traveling down in her land. I'm like, yo, man, nobody was up on it and shit. I'm like, look at all these Atari buildings right here. Boom, boom, boom. And I was putting her onto the aisles and all that shit. And I'm like, yo, there was 17,000 buildings burned here. And then my mom from Chicago, and we go through Chicago all the time. We stayed there in the 80s and shit. Damn. So he got me on the back, y'all. Hold on. That shit feel good as hell though. Hold on, wait. Gotta be careful too, because it's lava stone. That motherfucker. He's like, ah, shit, this butterfly, my son. But yeah, and so I showed her, and so right now, I took her to 38th and all that shit before everything went down. And so, you know, of course, you know how it is. She's looking, I know she's looking back and noticing, like, damn, how this motherfucker know this and this. You know, it was just things that were brought to me. And I had to get the fuck up to get around. I already had the semen retention talking about all that, so things was just coming. And I was having them dreams, man. Hence, I was able to sit here to talk about this shit. And it's connected. Even for the small amount of people, I don't know and understand whoever I talk to, anyway, they'll be affected, even if it's a good or bad way. Most I got that about me. And I learned that. And it's not that I'm being like, you know what I'm saying? I just know that about me and shit. Because I'm not like being like, you know, trying to be something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he just knows. That's all. But anyhow, though, I know I saw my son up there. I talked, brought her up. I know she looking back like, damn, took it all them spots, Minnehaha, told her about about Hiawatha and Minnehaha coming together, making the tribes and stuff, making the whole, we black natives, we Native Americans, we Niji, all that shit. I didn't say Niji and shit, but I knew all about, you know, Brother Dane. And at that time, he was just not really hitting the scene and shit. But I was already studying it before, you know, the turn of the century, because we had books already, my Empress Versa D, called Return to the Ancient Ones, who basically just told us all, like, yo, nigga, we basically from here. And then, yeah, false prophets like Malachi York coming on and talking about it. But then there was other books that was written too, even by Dr. Ivan, if you need a creditable one, Dr. Ivan Van Symmetra. He was a creditable author, so you can mention him in any type of debate or argument and be like, look, this motherfucker's an archaeologist, nigga, and he'll tell you. You see these Olmecs, even though they say this from Africa, they just had to show the Africanoid faces and shit. But it's like, no, niggas was already over here. Forget the timeline and forget the New Age timeline, because I was talking about the whole little, they lied about 1,000 years. Now they're talking about it now, because they did lie about 1,000 years and shit. And I was pointing up the comet. This is all, what you call it, man? I was in the winter time. Like, I'm over here talking like I'm Little Richard and shit. I had all of them. I had all the keys. I'm scratching my back, guys. Shit. I had to get that spot. Ooh. Oh, man, that shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I was in the winter, though, outside, working out in the cold and shit, while talking about this on my old channel. I got to put the videos up. Now we'll probably be ready to look at them. Like, oh, okay. So we can see that it was already documented and shit. Hopefully, take it off. And I showed about the buildings out here, shit. The Tatari Citizen building. That's when they took the shit off. But, you know, that's when they took my last channel. What's up, Debo? Come here. Come here, Debo. You see Debo? Y'all see Debo? Come here. Look at Debo. Hey, Debo. Say what's up to everybody. That's you. Hey. That's Miss Mama. All right. Yeah, so, wait, let me wash my bag. Motherfucker do be creeping out. That's a mama. That's a sister. Alright, cool. Alright, yeah, so it all lined up. You know, my exes and all that stuff, they seeing it now. They're like, damn, you know, to be a certain way with them. It's like a multi-dimensional and shit. Like, I couldn't even reveal a lot of things and shit. It was crazy. Most High did it, man. Most High did this shit. And in the end, you know what I'm saying? It's to get to the light body. You know, but we're going to go through hell on earth. I'll tell you that much. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the Africans and stuff, they don't understand that we already had, you know, we had a goal in our lives of what we wanted to do and be when we grew up. Even if we were in the slums, in the ghetto, shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, we had a dream, like, I want to be a superstar, or I want to be a smart doctor, I want to be the best lawyer. Even if you in the hoods, you still had this. And you ask any nigga in the hood, if he was I'm talking about the hardest looking motherfucker that's old, ask him, and he'll say, if you ask him what you want to be after all the trauma you've been through, like, I always wanted to be a swimmer or something like that. He gonna say something, you know what I'm saying? Because we already had this goal mapped in our head. You can't go to Africa and ask the motherfuckers what they want to be if they didn't see it on TV and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already knew. We didn't have to have TV. We just we had the activities in our neighborhoods. You know what the guy says? Yeah. Peace. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. You already know. Loving, living, doing the same thing. You gotta love yourself to live in this world and shit, because some people live in. Oh, he got him. Put him a little black chick over there. That's like, then I stand up and shit. He pulled him a little sister. I am trying to scratch my shit, y'all. Hold on. Scratch my legs out. Alright, so Anyhow, you know, so yeah, man, this is to give an insight on that. It's a spiritual place. Minnesota was black owned, man, like a mud, man. Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis up there. I was chill with them and shit. My boys, is an anchor up there named Reg Chapman and shit. That's Dave Chappelle homie and shit. But me and Reg's the blackest motherfucker on TV, WCCO, man. But if he knew I was doing this, he'd be cracking up. He knew I'd do it, but if he knew, he's like, damn. That was my weed smoking buddy and shit. You know, but yeah, on WCCO, if you ever look up Reg Chapman, that's Tracy Chapman, cousin, shit. So anyhow, though, and he lives right in the hood, nigga. They live right over north, motherfucker. But it's a housing complex that was built and that a whole bunch of Somalians moved in. So it's still hoodish because niggas still live up in there too. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, yeah, he's there. But yeah, Reg Chapman, look his ass up. That's my boy. And so anyhow, though, yeah. So yeah, man, it's a real black place. Man, it's a real black place, man. You know what I'm saying? Had everything. Own black projects. They tore them all down, man. They tore them all down and put them projects up for the Somalians and shit. But it wasn't a lot of death killing over in the projects in Minneapolis. It was just projects, like how you would have a project. It was the flat level projects, you know? You know how a flat level project is. It's like when you go in that bitch, it's hard as hell to come up out that motherfucker. Everybody in that motherfucker. You know, so it was like that. Black as hell over there. Prince lived over there, man. You know what I'm saying? Prince, he looks the way he looked, but that nigga is a nigga, man. You know what I'm saying? And all the aunties and shit know of Prince up there, man. That nigga, they was hood. The whole Minnesota was black, man. The whole Minneapolis was black, y'all. I'm telling you, right now. I'm telling you right now. Black, one of the blackest cities in America that was kept the biggest secrets that you will ever know. That's why when all that shit go down and they kind of put the businesses back up, niggas is gonna go back up there. They're gonna open it up again. But it's like a lot of corrupt money laundering and shit happening, you know what I'm saying? While we out on the street selling dope and all of this shit, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things going on behind closed doors we ain't know shit about. We're going to their store just to get some food, you know, little convenience stores and shit like that they made in our hoods. So it's a lot of little things I gotta pick my back. It's a lot of little things. So, you know, once the air is clear, everybody get to moving back. Cause those are some nice man, them houses up there is strong as hell, man. Tornadoes and storms and shit hit. Them is brick houses and wood and brick houses, man. I mean, a tornado came through the hood. A tornado, see, that's what I'm saying. It's a war going on. It's a war, it's an inner war, but they can use, you know, weather as weapons too. And they was doing that and targeted into a black neighborhood. They never had no tornadoes hit the hood until one year I was out there, you know what I'm saying? That tornado went right through over north, man, and destroyed damn near everything. Went past the rich neighborhood and then hit all the hood, man. Like it was like it knew exactly what it was doing. Like somebody had a remote control turning that motherfucker, man. And it happened over south too. Did the same thing where the Somalians at. We stayed over there. The tree didn't even hit our house. The trees, these are big ass oak trees, man. What do you know, oak tree, they say, it's a treaty gang, 80 niggas on or whatever. That's a strong ass tree, man. But, yeah, man, you know, it fell over. I done seen trees from storms fall over, man. Like, oh, man. But it's spiritual up there. You know, it's really spiritual. It's a battle. Because it's the top of the Nile of the West, you know. It's like, yo, this is where it begins at. Niggas knew about, which is the Mississippi River, you know what I'm saying? And it's very lush and very clean and pretty and beautiful. It is. I ain't gonna front, man. It's a beautiful place. But when you got corrupt people in any beautiful place, it turns it toxic and sad and depressing and shit. You know, only people who's getting by favor. Where you used to seeing a yellow tape where a young kid shot up, or you just drive right past. You know what I'm saying? Police looking at the mud that he done did on the ground. Or if somebody else did it, like looked at them like, yo, look at them crazy niggas that did that shit. You know, these people are only like 14, 15 years old, but the police, I guarantee you, they killed more of my friends than got killed by other niggas. That's for sure. Shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you had to be on your P's and Q's for me to even drive. And I know I didn't have a license or nothing, so it's like I would use my permit. That was the way to get out, so they couldn't have me I couldn't have to sign my rights over and shit and say I would have a privilege. You know, I made sure I had my daggone insurance, you know, and I had my permit to drive. They just be like, damn, Cause they do shiesty shit like pull you over right before you get on the freeway and shit, or even pull you over on the freeway, and you're not supposed to do that. And mother's trying to take my whole car and shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just stuff like that, man. They do that shit all. They did that shit up there, but people didn't know. So that's why a lot of shit's happening. You see how it going down right now? They like, damn, this must be how niggas feel when they walk outside every day, nigga. Like, yeah, that's exactly how we. That's exactly how we feel, nigga. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's hard to console. And most parents knew each other and their children and shit. And shit happened to their children. It's like another motherfucker. You know, there's a lot of things that's going on. That's why I feel it. That's why I'm like, I know it's judgment. I call judgment on that motherfucker. I mentioned, I was like, yo, man, you know, with the natives, we love them and shit too, but, you know, they had ownership on a lot of things. But, you know, it's like they was like paid to keep their mouth shut almost about things. It was paid to keep their mouth shut. You know what I mean? We weren't hired to be deputies or nothing like that in Shakopee, in any of their casinos and shit like that. I'm talking about good positions of power. We like cool, like a cool hire by. That's why I was like, yo, we all can get to Cahokia and we can chop it up. And if we able to build in, we can do it. But I'm like, I don't know, man. Powers, I'm sorry, like, I don't know, nigga. I think I'm just gonna step in and shit. I don't know if we're gonna let y'all get to Cahokia and do a powwow and shit, man. You know what I mean? Because there's gonna be some arguing and shit. It's like mothers don't want to acknowledge who niggas are. Like, they don't even want to acknowledge that niggas invented something. There's some inventors in Minnesota too. There's a whole black museum up that motherfucker. Shit. So inventors, man. I mean, people who invent that came from up there, man. I mean, damn, you'd be so surprised. That's why I'm gonna start building on that, because I knew it was gonna be next. You know what I'm saying? I knew that because we called judgment on that place, man. I definitely damn. So these mothers over here, they want to come over here, but it's hot. So I'm gonna be able to sit, hopefully. And I feel good too. Sun blazing and shit. But yeah, yeah, so you know, that's what's going on, man. You know what I'm saying? And just to give an insight, even if it's acting or not, you know. But that's how we felt going outside the house, and we still had to live with it. And some of our kindreds were, you know, crazy too, because they, you know, they fall victim like all of us do. Have a little custody, you know, bullying syndrome. But yeah, but during the time I was coming up, you know, a different type of people was in rule, and they was like targeting us and shit, like literally targeting us. Like, we were told to make sure we walk down the street 4 deep, you know. And if you're in the car, man, like I say, to drive with the tie on, man, glasses on and shit, boom, boom, boom. Depending on what car I drive and shit. Sometimes I want to drive my truck. Oh man, you better be ready. You just better be ready. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a lot of little things, man. People knew how to drive to and fro. But you know, like I said, we had to have our businesses in the private too. Like, there's alleys up there, and people were look at thugs sitting there. You know, there was alleys up there, so all our business would take place in the alley, not on the front street. So every block had an alley. So set they shit up in the alley when they drive down. And some police would come through and be mad, you know, but you'd be in your yard, so you barbecuing in your yard, you getting your plates off in your yard. You know, niggas made a way. You know what I'm saying? Niggas made a way. They shut all our businesses down. We ain't had no clothing stores no more, nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I just wanted to give you an insight of how thriving it really was up there in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I had a store called Mecca Imports, me and a couple bros. I was 19. And that was towards the end of the century too, or turn of the century. But you know, we were selling, you know, incense, oils, beaded jewelry, head wraps and skirts and little figurines and shit I'll find at little spots like at little thrift stores and shit like that and throw it up in the store. But it was 5 rooms. And I rented it from, it was a white owner downstairs. He bought the block, you know, he bought that part of the block. But the rent was only like $300 for like 5 rooms up there. So I had like a school in one room, another studio in one room. And I'm like 19 years old, 18 years old. And then in another room, I had coffee. Me and the other bros. And then the Somalis were just coming in, and nobody didn't have coffee. Nobody we didn't have Starbucks like that. You know, Starbucks was just about to come out, and nobody wasn't really feeling the coffee thing yet. And we had coffee, so we're selling us $1 a cup. That shit was going like crack. I said, oh man, we got a business. We're gonna sell coffee to these months. And they come through, they have coffee, and we get yellow rice from them. Yellow rice and the raisins and shit. Whatever, and peanuts and they little shit. You see what's going on. Dollars to the spirit. Yeah, so you know. But yeah, as time went on, man, you know, most had used car shops, 4 or 5, several, man. black car shops on like right there, man. I mean, everywhere you went, man, it was a black-owned business down there. Trust me. So that's why Minneapolis don't look how it look now. Like it's a lot of Mexican businesses around. You know, it's a lot. I mean, I'm not mad at that. We just want to go. I give Mexicans business shit. You know what I'm saying? If they have business that I could give, I go. I walk into their little malls and shit and buy whatever I bought just to be showing them love, just to walk in there like, yo, I fucks with you. But sometimes they didn't really like that. It doesn't seem like, you know what I mean? If I walk in, it's like, why you walk in the store, get quiet and shit. It's like, oh, I caught y'all motherfuckers almost like they were eating some type of guts on a rotisserie thing. And I was like, I just came in to see what y'all had to eat, and now I caught them in the wrong shit. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I'm like, oh damn, you know what I'm saying? But that's how it was. But yeah, it don't really surprise me with the corrupt shit that goes on in Minnesota, especially with with the money and shit, because it's a money laundering place. When you come into Minnesota, man, with child support, as soon as you walk in, they tell you like, yo, we collected $46 million in child support, like back pay type shit. Like, what the fuck? It's used it as a business. So women, they would aid the women, just during Democratic time, it had to be, you know what I'm saying? They would aid the women to go to another county to get child support on the baby's father if they live in another county, to let that county attack the baby. It's like, damn, wherever the baby lived at. So it's like, they live in a very expensive county, then that very expensive county is going to charge the baby father, whether if he lives in another county, high as hell, you know what I'm saying? Then the DA takes the case. The DA picks up on all the cases and shit. That further splits the family up and all that, you know, and that's why the state's getting judged too, man. And on top of it, murders that just happened. Like when the police is calling a domestic, every time a domestic happened in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. One time a DJ, this is a DJ from a big station, man, I'm mentioning this shit. They said everything was okay. They argued, him and his girl argued. She answered, but she said, oh, everything's okay. The police escalated the shit, like, no, everything ain't okay. The bro like, no, we got it good, man, we all right, man. And they somehow got that nigga out the house, and they tasered that nigga to death. It was just like, god damn, you know what I'm saying? It's just like crazy, G. I know it happened in a lot of places, but Minneapolis is like, yeah, man, you ain't have to do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? You ain't have to do all that shit. What's up? But yeah, you know, but yeah, even if they said it was okay, but yeah, they weren't doing that to everybody else. Just to let you know, it was a mass extermination that was taking place that don't nobody know. I probably can write a book about that shit. The mass extermination of niggas in Minnesota, man, to get them out their businesses and stuff, you know, in their neighborhoods. We had neighborhoods and stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? And the gangs that were in the neighborhoods were like very protective of like Black Panthers type shit. Cops couldn't really roll through too tough until everything started breaking down with the drugs. In my era, you know, my era was dealing with the shorty bloods and shit like that. You know, drugs came in, you know, and guns and shit. You know, we started to change up, and you know, niggas had to. It just came up. That's why Tupac wrote songs like those. I'm like the little nigga that they were talking about and shit, and you know, watching all that happen around him and being the one they were trusted as the leader and shit like that. You know, but Most High guided me through. So I could talk about this stuff right now, G. Y'all want to come through and say hi? You good? You Gucci? I see you right there. All right. I guess I'm gonna get wrapped on up, man. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on up there. Even if, you know, just to give you insight of how Minneapolis used to be a thriving black city. The Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. The thriving black Twin Cities, man. The Twin Cities, man. Like the Minnesota Twins, you see the TC hats, motherfucker. Minnesota Twins, man. Two black cities, people. Thriving, motherfucker. No homelessness? Hell no, nigga. Nobody was homeless in Minnesota. Nobody homeless in Minnesota. This shit came into the game when everybody started to flee to Minnesota and shit. And they started realizing that shit was like the land of milk and honey, motherfucker. Shit. Land of milk and honey, man. And that's when the immigrants came. Because we had that shit popping. Beautiful, you know what I mean? Black bands. It's known for music, you know what I mean? So it's black. It's known for musicians, like live bands and shit. That's why you got a lot of rock bands up there now, like white boy bands. But you know, it was brothers though that had the bands. You know what I mean? The guitars, the basses, and all. It was all brothers, P. First Avenue popping, all that shit was popping. Brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? They just mixed in everybody to have a good time and shit. You know, to let everybody, you know, in on the fun. But you know, agents come in. Stuff like that happens, man. And so gentrification happens, and you see. But Minneapolis is the Minneapolis, so that's going to be one of the examples that they can actually start with instead of starting on a big. They're trying to figure out which city they was gonna start on and shit. Like, what city can we start on to show the examples and shit? Because New York is pretty big. Yeah, that's like they can go and pick any fucking whoever, Puerto Rican or whoever they want to pick. It's just a sea of them, and even all kind of immigrants. It's almost unfair with them. That's why mothers getting a little nervous up there. But in Minneapolis, it's the same difference. But when it's the natives, it's a lot of them too, and they added them into the game. Even though niggas is always thinking like, hey, we might be brought into the game too. We ain't too actually, but we just know to keep to ourselves, you know. But they added them into the game now, and they like, damn, why didn't they gotta add us and shit? But I guarantee you, the president, you know, dealing with the business, he had somebody studying of what the fuck was going on. What was they given with the opportunities that they had to help the communities out? But did they just help out theyself, or did they help out everybody? Because my family, the Walkers, and we helped out everybody. You don't give a fuck if you were Somalian, Mexican, Black, Asian, persuasion. You came through the South Side, through Sabathani, you got some help. I guarantee you. That's why there's a street named after I'm saying it like it's a narcissistic plug. That's why there's a street named after my auntie, Clarissa Walker. They from Mississippi anyways, though. All of us from Mississippi, you know? We just moved up to the top of the Nile of the West, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like we didn't just help our own people out, we helped everybody out. But when they came into the game, now I was using that, the corporations auditing shits like, oh nigga, you didn't even use the little $1 billion. You put signs up, and that was even misspelled sign, luring. What the fuck? Yeah, you are luring motherfuckers in. Luring center, you know what I'm saying? Collecting checks with empty seats and shit. Other motherfuckers, what you do? You came in and penny pinched off niggas on the corner stores and, you know, help fund with the drugs and shit. You know, with the drugs. They don't want to let you know that the Arabs help motherfucking dope and shit, man. They don't want to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? See, that's why mothers had time. They got federal. I knew more Arabs that we had the federal time and shit dealing with that shit, G, with the stores in Minneapolis. I can name them, brother. You know what I'm saying? So that ain't. It just, but it's with niggas. Like, what did they do with the least amount? What niggas did was they tried to help everybody with the least amount of what they had. They had the least amount of government help. They had the least amount of opportunity. They had the least amount of everything. But they somehow managed to get people in homes, get people food, give people some type of happy vibe, make a happy Christmas for a motherfucker. If you needed, you know, when niggas needed Christmas gifts and shit, you know, motherfuckers made sure the babies had gifts. Make sure you had gifts up under your tree. You know, giving them what's going on outside and shit like that. Motherfuckers getting killed over drug deals and shit like that. It wasn't like as worse as it is when I started coming up. When I became a teenager, that's when the guns came in. Hey, I got you, okay? You wanna say hi? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, so yeah, you know, so that's pretty much how that is. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna say about yeah, you know, we did the best we could. So now we had to pull back. We ain't got the opportunity. You know, we got pushed out of the inner cities into the suburbs, spread out. You know, and then when you move out there, you know, you get the evil eye a lot and shit. And you're on Section 8. Oh, you know, we couldn't even get on Section 8 list now. When the Mexicans and Somalis came into the game, you know, we know the Mexicans came in with some extra shit. Like, what happened when we gave y'all shit? These motherfuckers was bringing in artists and shit, man, that was $140 something a ticket, man. Fucking Lake Street be popping, like looking like popping, man. You know what I'm saying? But we couldn't go in there. I seen a fight though one time, real quick. It was a Floyd Mayweather when he versus Canelo, nigga. When he versus Cinnamon, nigga. I went to go watch that fight in the Mexican bar, boy, in the South Side, nigga. It had a whole ball in that bitch, you know, so they know Mexicans gonna keep their coke and shit. Sorry, let's keep it real, keep their coke. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, they in there charged up, the sakis and shit. I'm standing up, got my lady in there. She's taller than me, so she kind of scaring the little Mexicans and shit. You know what I'm saying? I drove up with my truck. I had the bourbon and shit with the TV in the back. I had to throw that in there. That's some narcissistic plug and shit. But that's just the kind of, you know, we pull up, we dress down too. Walk up in that motherfucker. We're the only niggas in that bitch, man. Floyd handing this nigga two-piece after two-piece after two-piece. And these motherfuckers is getting a little, ooh. They walking past me, hey, bro. Every time and shit. Every round, ding, walking past me. What's up, bro? They keep going and shit. They kind of don't want to test because I kind of look a little slow at that time. I was too something ready to do something and shit, so I was a little bit more different, you know what I mean? Man, soon that nigga was announced the winner. Boy, no, everybody looked at my ass, nigga. I looked at the door, man. I knew already when he was about to say he was winning and shit. They said the majority, and I was like, Floyd. I was like, boom, slid my ass out the door. The motherfuckers was outside so fast. I was in the parking lot, got in the truck, I was up. The motherfuckers was gonna be on my ass, nigga, cause Floyd whooped Canelo's ass. It was about to do it too, Pete. I felt it. I was like, y'all niggas was trying to jump. I felt the bottle finna get ready to be thrown. I was like, yeah, let me get by the door. So when I hear the goddamn announcement, nigga, I can walk right out. And I did too. I got my ass out, we got in the truck and we did, man. And I'm like, yep. But they don't like niggas too much, man, over there, man. On the south side, they was treating us all bad and shit. You know what I'm saying? That whole neighborhood was ours, man. Like everywhere over there, motherfucker. You know, all the cuts, man. But yeah, so yeah, you hearing it from a Mississippi Minnesotan, how it binds in and shit, you know, there's some history and shit, what's going on. We ain't had the plugs from them, you know what I'm saying? We didn't get no dope plugs and nothing like that. But they wouldn't even give us the weed plug, man, you know what I'm saying? We had to learn how to grow weed and shit, you know what I'm saying? Fortunately, I came up on the plug from somebody else and shit. You know what I'm saying? With kind buzz that wasn't even around. Like, I don't want that old motherfucking boxed up ass, 5-pound brick ass, nasty tasting ass weed and shit. We got this old fluffy shit over here. It's $50 a motherfucking whoop. I was back then though, you know what I'm saying? Well, I knew it was gonna be the future though. You know. I was one of them niggas that they put like that, like Mitch and shit. Oh, money making Mitch and shit. But I just happened to grow and shit through the. But I was really more like Ace. But you know, I had to grow through the shit. If y'all know what that movie is. Hey. Okay. Hey. Yeah, all right. He's like, he ain't lying, nigga. I was like, hey, let me get this nigga something. So yeah, anyhow though. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So you know, Minnesota was a pretty cool black town, man. It was a predominantly black town. I mean, not Minnesota, Minneapolis and St. Paul. And so with all that going on now, you don't see no black people out there on the streets. I know every spot. I'm looking like, damn, that's on Blaisdell and shit. I'm like, shit. I was like, but then a lot of stuff be, you know, they be gaslighting. You know, these people got cluster B. They can gaslight and project things, create fear. You know, when it's a nigga, I know they leave that motherfucker out. They don't move them quick. And no matter if the mug is like they trying to hide something or not, you know what I'm saying? Oh, custody is when they they want that motherfucker to stay right there so everybody can walk past and look. You know what I'm saying? That's how they do with niggas in Minnesota. I know. I was right there. And they make sure everybody's standing around for hours, nigga. If they did it, shit, you know. So yeah. Anyhow, though, with that being said, you know, the businesses, it's a business matter up there. It's about this money. Everything's about money and shit. And they just squandered the money, you know? They just squandered the money. What did they do with the money? It just didn't do nothing right. The shit coming back around, you know? We didn't have money to help. So we just had to use what we had to use. Some of our people were dope boys and shit. That's why they shut down some businesses, because some businesses were, you know, funded a little because they didn't have government help. So yeah, this is niggas that they give aunties motherfucking money, man, to help keep the daycare open and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how it went. It wasn't like niggas was trying to do this shit. It was like, damn, I gotta look out for the daycare to keep the daycare open and give auntie some money and shit, because our babies is going there. We only got one black daycare in this motherfucker. We don't want our babies going to other daycares like that. So yeah, the dope was being, you know, yeah, the people use dope money for shit like that. You know, some people didn't want to use the monies and shit. You know what I mean? They be like, I can't use that money. But it's like, the government ain't gonna help you. You know, Most High is showing us at our rawness right now what we got to do. You know? So, yeah, man, a lot of things went down, man. A lot of things went down. A lot of things. We had black movie theaters and bowling alleys, man. You know? So, in our neighborhoods. So, but that's not there no more. So, it all got taken away in Minneapolis. I'm talking about through gentrification. And it's not that, and we were just like, we weren't really mad, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, why, you know, they could have fucked around with us too, like hired us. But when they got into the position of authority though, is when they really started acting funky. And we seen that as niggas, like, You know what I'm saying? When they got into a position of authorities, they always act a certain way. And it was even the natives, even if some of them took up their or they keep the tribe to their heart, but if they got into some type of law enforcement, if they weren't fully like a spiritual person, you can say they got some kind of spiritual, but if they still want to please the man in a way, you know, they still was funky towards niggas, man. It was how it was. Everybody was funky towards niggas, man. That's it. That's how it was in Minnesota, dude. You know, and they got into positions of power where you couldn't get jobs and shit. You know, I'm fucking trying to get hired by, you know, I would be happy a sister was fucking hiring me, you know, was the right sister in the right state of mind and shit, you know what I'm saying? Not a sister that was trying to please the other motherfucker, but a sister that was like, looked up and now like, you look decent, I'm gonna put you at this job right here, you're gonna be working in the healthcare department, you know what I'm saying, filing medical records. Like, oh, you believe in me to do that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Cool, now I got a good job and shit. You know, like 17, 18, shit like that. You know, I was fortunate enough to find jobs that I needed, but it was just like, you know, but then, you know, have people step into play. You know, they have the government step in with child support and they kind of coerce your baby mama to do things. And if your baby mama don't want to do it, they want to take it on the state's behalf. Like, yo, your baby mama may not want to do it. Now they gonna pick up the case. It's like, what can you do? It's you versus the state now. You versus the state of Minnesota. What's going on now, though? You know what I mean? So it's a lot of things that went down up there. It's a hidden story. People gonna start coming out with this shit too. Because it was so quiet and kept up there. Used niggas we had with white folks in Minnesota, man. Oh my God. It's just that when my generation came up, shit started to change a little bit. It was a little bit more buck. It was a little bit more like, all right, because it was new breeds coming up there. So they had to bring in some type of other motherfuckers. We was the type that wasn't gonna stand for none of that shit, man. So they had to bring some new niggas. They bring in them Somalians quick. They bring them to my school, Roosevelt. And they trained them English as a second language and shit. They trained them. But yeah, you see the corruptness that went down with the money and shit. They only help themselves, they didn't help us. I seen it with my own eyes and shit, dude. When they had adult daycare. They had adult daycares all through the town. All through the south side where all night you can go and sit up in there and lay down. And what we had as black youth and shit or whatnot through the vice lords, and I wasn't a vice lord, but shit, Willie Lloyd had this shit popping. He was leader of the lords and shit. He had it where you can go into Curly's bar, it was all night, where you could be safe from the police, and they get you some, you can get you some curly fries and play NBA Jam or Mortal Kombat all night or some shit like that. And it was like a way of protection because, you know, you couldn't go home and shit. You know, for kids though, you know, because he looked out for the children. He didn't look out for grown ass motherfuckers. You remember gang members, we was only under 17 and under, even though we seemed like we was old as hell. You know, we was like 13 and shit though, but the older gang members was like 17, 18. So, you know, even though motherfuckers seemed like they was like 30 years old and shit, like, nah, niggas was only 17, man. 18 and shit, you know what I'm saying? But still though, that's what was going on, you know what I mean? But when they got the opportunity and they got all the backing, they was able to get the full buildings to put people in there. But what Willie Lloyd had, he was able to get a building and he turned it into a school. And it was a place to have meetings for the vice lords too though. But he turned it into a school called the City. He had one over north and one over south. One for the GDs and one for the vice lords. Or the vice lords could be open because GDs was over north too though. But vice lords was over there too. And they all go to the same school. There was no problem, no fighting and shit. Walking that bitch, he had the goddamn going pyramid up with the shepherd's cane and that mug and shit, man. It was real. Weight room, everything, man. You know what I'm saying? You needed a place to go. You know, we only had one Boys and Girls Club and, you know, stuff like that. But see, these people, they didn't make no centers like that. You know what I'm saying? They just took the money and hoarded the motherfucker. They ain't do shit. They ain't got way more than we did. Billions of dollars. Oh my God, what the fuck would we have done with $1 billion, nigga? Can you imagine what niggas in Minnesota would have done with billion? It would have been so much shit. Oh my God. Man, the Mall of America, we would have made the Mall of America. Shit, it wouldn't have been no 3 billionaires or whoever made the Mall of America. That would have been our shit. We would have had steak in there. I know that one. Shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how good we is with money, but they don't want it. But look out, because look what we're doing with the least amount of money. So it just goes to show, P, you know, very business oriented in Minnesota. I learned a lot of business savvy from up there. I just learned spiritual business so I can be able to use the big business too when it's time. You know what I mean? But yeah, we didn't have no corruption in our shit. You know what I'm saying? They tried to pin, they had to try to pin shit on us, pin dope on niggas. Yeah, they still didn't even catch the aunties or whatever, even if the dope dealers did give them the dope. You know what I mean? Give them the money and shit. They were just like, they just knew that they didn't have the money. It's like, bitch, you couldn't get the money. That's how it was. We know you couldn't make the money for this rent. You know what I'm saying? Because we already sent the city through and the state through, and they just said you couldn't even hold it up and make the repairs you need, man. You're going to get you up out of here. But they don't do that to everybody else's building. You know how I know? Because I did a project on one building that was a white-owned building that then they're finna fall down. But we rebuilt it for this little thrift business and shit. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it didn't rebuild it, but just lift the ceiling up a little bit and put some frames up in there and then put some little drywall and shit to make it look a little newer. But if the city was doing this job, that building would be already torn down and shit. But in buildings like ours, we have brick buildings and shit. And they would complain about lead or something on the windows, and that was the way to shut the business down. They had petty shit with us, shit. I'm telling you. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man. That's what that. Now people think the niggas was weak. Like, nah, nigga, we had to adapt so many goddamn times, man. These motherfuckers, they just didn't want us to help. Just imagine us get all the Somalian money, and then the Mexicans. Oh man, you know they came in with all their extra substances, B. All the weed, all the coke. Nigga, them motherfuckers was riding around in the street sounding like circuses every night. Dun, 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 dun. I lived right over south, nigga. Like, the south side was on black, and I moved back over south after, like, I don't know, years and shit, or whatever, 10, 13 years or whatever. Man, the whole south side was them niggas. Man, them niggas had the alley and everything. I'm like, damn, they took our alley style and everything and shit. Cause I went to chill in the alley, these niggas is in the alley and shit. Baby, okay. Yeah, man. So, me over here with the bird and shit. Hey, goddamn. Okay. But yeah, man, so that's how Minneapolis was. Minneapolis was very on point, man. You know, very on point. Very, 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 very on point. We learned a lot of things as we just took the shit. See that? There you go. You want? All right, what is that? I don't know what that is. Let's say anyhow though. But yeah. So now you see. It's probably some consequences you got to pay, man. If you didn't do nothing with the money, man. We got those billions of dollars and shit. I mean, whatever they was given, it was enough. Because them motherfuckers had stores and malls and shit. They didn't even let us even come into the mall to even have to even rent a fucking booth in the mall, man. It's like, damn, you let me get a booth. So we had to go to a city place. Like, yo, man, you gotta rent this booth off for $50 a day if you wanted to have a booth in the business in a nice location and shit or whatever. But you know, they didn't want to do it. They let one brother do it and shit, but it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? You know, so only like one. They wouldn't let all of us do it and shit. You know. But that's why we were selling those DVDs and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I was about to have a booth up in there doing that shit, but I said, or massages and stuff like that. But anyway, though. It was on something, man. So just to let you see, man, it was about keeping niggas out and bringing their people in. When they worked at the temp agencies, I mean, they took us off the job at the job. I got took off the job at the job, and I was a good worker, dude. I'm a good worker. You know what I mean? I'm stacking pallets great. You know what I'm saying? I'm showing up ahead of time. These motherfuckers, I even had the whip to get to the job. They pissed off at that. They're like, damn, you can drive to the job. I'm getting to the job. I even know the bus routes and everything. I mean, they do that to everybody, man. They did to all niggas. They got me off the job halfway in the day. I'm like, damn. Then they brought Felipe in. I don't know his name. Yeah. And to try to have that whole squad in that motherfucker. You know, when we working, they didn't want no music playing. When they working, they can play everything. That's how it was in the workplace. I ain't lying to you. I know it sounds fucked up. I'm talking like this. You're like us, they wanted to hear boxes taping and fucking ground scraping with the pallets and shit. That's all they want to hear. That's it. That's music to my ears. That's what Mexicans in there, they can talk about everything. You know, they used to be mad though. Some of us, I try to get with some of the chicks and shit. Like, yo, man, I teach you English. You teach me Spanish. You know what I'm saying? We used to be like that. They be drawing up, then the dudes be all mad and shit like, me out there. Like, yeah. See, y'all motherfuckers. Y'all knew it weird shit. Lucky. But yeah, man. So it's a lot of things going on. They got their hands full. Whoever the agency is, they got their hands full. It's just that people are a little bit afraid because they can just pick out the crowd and anybody because it's like a sea full of Indians they so-called Indians and the so-called Mexicans. They mixed in. You You know, the Indians were dealing with us, but when they kind of took part, they mixed with the Mexicans. When the Mexicans got there, they mixed with them. Like, they offspring was fucking they offspring. It was like, now they got Mexican and Indian babies in Minnesota in little earth projects, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, y'all got y'all hands full now, P. You know what I'm saying? They was us talking shit to niggas just keep it moving, like, fuck it, all right. You know what I'm saying? Southside was Southside. You hear that? That was our shit. Southside, we outside, G, all day. You know what I'm saying? It was beautiful, sunny when we was there and shit. That shit got gloomy when these motherfuckers got all sad, depressed. The winters got colder and shit.